Okay, and welcome back to today's episode. Today, I welcome Corey onto the show, where we're going to be talking about many things. We're going to be talking about the power of neuroencoding. We're going to be talking about core transformation and much more from Corey's experience. So I'm looking forward to talking today. So, a quick introduction to Corey, and then I'll dive into today's conversation. So, Corey is an NLP practitioner, neuroencoding specialist, EFT tapping in particular specialist, a core transformation certified coach as well. He's a military combat veteran, a firefighter from 1993 to 2017, to include forestry, Munich. How do you say that? Munich, Paul?
Municipal. And now I can't even say it.
Municipal,
Municipality.
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 Love it. Industrial, aircraft rescue, firefighting, and combat firefighting. So, a man with lots and lots of service and giving a lot to the world. So, Corey, welcome to the show today. Great to have you on. So, first of all, it'd be really interesting to hear what got you from the shift of doing all these things of service. You got a lot of experience there to getting involved in things like NLP, to neuroencoding, EFT tapping. Yeah, it'd be just really interesting to hear your journey and curiosity into the psychological side of things.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for having me here too as well. That's a very good question. And it comes from having the experience of living in a 27-year suicidal depression. It's where, stemming from, very early childhood, through my adolescence, teenage, early, adulthood. A lot of things, happen in life before even getting in the military or even before getting into firefighting that as I grew and, learned the different things in life, as a, young child learning that what I was doing was, trying to commit suicide, trying to end my life, doing things, in a decision wise that normally normal kids wouldn't do. Like, why would you like, just stand there and look at the car as the car is coming towards you? Or why would you climb on something and jump off, knowing that's going to hurt you? Just not knowing, the educational wise, that's what I was doing, right? And then had tried to commit suicide several times through the use of firearms, really. One time, and joining the military, joining the firefighting in, 93, seeing my mass casualty in 94 in the Mount King fire in Colorado, seeing, at a very young age, even while still in high school, being, deployed around the world and, getting in the military in December, in 96. And it wasn't until 2013 was my last deployment. And shortly after that, got introduced into some courses and classes, which introduced me into the NLP world. And one day during the session of the class, I went into a full-blown PTSD episode where I left the realm of reality, went back to my biggest trauma, my biggest T, where I had to do certain things to make sure that I stayed alive and came home. And being able to see and hear, especially after, because I was audio recording the class and being able to hear that I was actually going deeper and deeper and deeper into this PTSD episode, the deeper into the past. And the instructor that was giving the class, because we learned about anchoring during this week, and hearing the words fire off now would drive me deeper and deeper and deeper into the trauma. Where the facilitator, he knew me, he knew I was a combat vet, he knew I was a veteran. He's like, hey, we need to change our language pattern on this here because it's driving him deeper. So by using NLP, they were able to bring me out of, the past, this PTSD episode, and bring me back into the, to the present, to the here and now, and was able not only to do that, but bring down the suds, bring down the intensities of, the feelings, the emotions, the memories, the kinesthetic, presence in my body, and bring those suds down to where I was able to think cognitively, use rational thoughts, and logic, and interact, react with people into the present moment. And I was just mind blown away because I've had episodes before, but this was the biggest one I've ever experienced. And for
Mm.
them to be able to use simple techniques and simple ways to bring me out of it, not only bring me out of it, but bring the suds down, and also to mitigate the triggers of that in the same process. And I was like, wow, that's cool. I want to learn that for myself. Not only do I want to learn it for myself, but I want to learn it good enough to where I can help other people to transition and get out of the blocks, the change that which hold us down and back, the thoughts, the nightmares, the memories, the overwhelms, the fears, the list of the fears that we have. And being able to, because like I said, I've been, a medic and a firefighter for decades, right? And and being a medic, it's kind of like you put the Band-Aid on, you do enough intervention enough to keep them alive or keep them, you know, safe or whatever to pass them on to the next set of people, to the ER, to the hospital, where they're actually going to go dive in deeper and help, to do the curing or to the operations to really save their lives. I want to learn the neuroencoding, the EFT, the core transformation, the NLP, all the good stuff, so I can dive in deeper with people to combat that and bring that into the future, future pace them to where they don't have, the triggers, where you don't have the nightmares, you don't have the sweats, you don't have the anxiety, you don't have the, whatever you give the list to, right? Whatever you name your story, whatever that is, so that you can have that life that you always wanted, that person always wanted. And what was the scariest and hardest thing for me was to actually do the work, actually go through the process. Because all my life, I knew what my normal was being in this, filth of PTSD, traumas, self-suicides, to just letting life take over, to, just give, kind of just basically giving up on life and just, not even like take my own life, but just like let life, the days, go on and just let me wither away kind of thing, into nothingness, because I felt like nobody cared, nobody wanted, nobody, like I meant nothing to anybody.
Mm.
So being able to do that work was more scary than going to combat, being deployed downrange, or going into a structure fire and pulling somebody out, or going into an unknown, uncertainty situation and to mitigate, to resolve, to do the inner work, workings of that. That was nothing compared to diving in my own self and doing that work to transition to live a better life, you know, to see like, oh, well, that comes easy for that person. Why does it come easy for that person? Well, learning that, like, hey, if I put in the work, if I manifest, if I, put in the energy, put in the focus, put in the why, put in the actual steps to do it, it comes easy because it really works. The stuff really works. And so that's kind of like how I got
Mm.
into this process because my own experiences. And not only that, and during that process, seeing how it's helped other people and seeing the tools that I've used, because I first learned NLP, then EFT and core transformation, and then now neuroencoding with, the NEI. And it has been just phenomenal, just phenomenal to see the work that it has on the people that we interact with on a day-to-day basis, clients that we have and other people, and seeing the same techniques, done differently. It's an actual process, factual, backed by science stuff
Mm.
that works on people. It's not hearsay, it's not, hypothetical. It is legit, like, hey, um, I might not need to know the exact, the exact details of what's going on. I just ask really good questions. And being able to read the body language, because the body keeps the score and the body will
Mm,
tell you, even if if a person wants to tell the story, they can tell their story. I also ask them like, hey, can I interrupt or can I, interject? I saw something come up there and can we dive in and talk about that?
mm,
And that's where the work happens. Being able to recognize the change, being able to recognize like, hey, something's come up that they may not have noticed or they've noticed but don't want to say, that's where the work happens. That's where change happens. The change happens from within,
mm,
from what that person wants. If if I come in and say, hey, I got, to a therapist, counselor, coach, whoever you want to go and see and say, hey, I got this anger problem. My wife says I need to change this. If, the relationship works out, I should work on this. Well, the main focus is my wife said, and the marriage will work. But if you change the focus into the internal work, because what we do to ourselves reflects outward.
mm,
If we're having a bad day and we're if our esteem is low and we're beating up ourselves and we're constantly just, cussing and yelling at ourselves and calling us stupid and whatever name in the book, right? Well, we put off that negative energy. Who wants to be around that? And of course, stuff is going to make you mad and angry. A sound or somebody walking by or a smell or a taste or just a feeling you get, you'd be like, get all mad and angry. Nobody wants to be around that. So people are going to say, hey, you need to work on that anger problem. However, if you do the internal work and make it about yourself, it's okay to be selfish about yourself to do better.
mm,
And by doing that change work on the inside, where change happens from within, and you see that, hey, if anger served if its purpose in one point in time in my life, I don't need it in the forefront. I don't need it, on the front lines right now. I can hold this in the back. I can control myself. I can control that emotion. I can control that anger. I can bring down whatever's activating that and do the work on what's activating on that anger. Then I become happier. I become more motivated. I could become more focused in the things that doesn't need to be angry, to have anger to be the driving force for. You don't need to be angry to do paperwork. You don't need to be angry to talk to your wife or talk to your loved one or your kids or your family. You can come from a place of empathy and compassion, love, happiness, enjoyment, encouragement, you name it. And as we change that within, then we bring that out, and then people will start to come and draw into us like a magnet to metal, right? We'll start to magnetize people. We'll start to bring in the people that we want to surround ourselves with, because you are really the product of the five people that you spend the most time with. And if you're constantly distracted or your esteem's low, your focus is low, you're not really living the life that you want, you might want to start looking, like, hey, what do I need to change within myself? And what do I need to change from outside? If you start doing that change from within, you'll start seeing the conflicts and changes on the outside. And then that's where choices happen.
mm,
If you have one choice, you have a problem. You don't, there's really no solution to the problem. If you have two choices, that's a dilemma because then you only got two places that you can go. If
mm,
you have three or more, then you actually have a choice. So you make and find, open up the avenues, open up the lanes to broaden your life and your experience and your choices. Then you can make decisions.
mm,
We are at where we are now in our lives because the decisions that we have made in our past, decades ago, yesterday, weeks ago, months ago, whatever it may be, the choices and decisions, that we make paves the path, paves the roadway, starts to build that foundation, that construction. What we do on that path along the way, these different little voyages in this journey of life, that's what makes the difference. If you see that and being aware and catching that awareness about yourself, saying, hey, what is this intrusive thought? Where is it coming from? And what lessons do I need to learn from this? It's just like, oh, you failed, like, oh, I'm a failure because I did the work and nothing really happened. I don't feel the change. There is no failure. There's only feedback. The feedback is there's something that you missed. There's something that you didn't do. There's something that you didn't learn from it. So you have to look at that, take that, that screenshot, that picture frame, that one picture a moment in time, that 3 to 5 minute crescendo, like, oh yeah, I've been shot at, yeah, we're getting shot at all day. Okay, that's 24 hours. What moments in that day at that time were we getting shot at, right? There's a 2 to 3 5 minute window like that we're getting shot at. Okay, cool. Focus on that. You put the two bookends on and you do that work in that frame, that snapshot in time.
Mm.
By taking that snapshot in time and being aware and saying, oh, that's where it's coming from. Cool. If you can't work on it right then and there, write it down. There's apps on our phones that we can use to do the notes, to write down the notes to where you can see a therapist, a counselor, a psychologist, coach, whatever, or you can go home and do the work on yourself. That awareness is where it begins.
Mm.
If you notice that, things are coming in your life, you're like all of a sudden you're getting mad and angry, or all of a sudden these flesh emotions come in of wanting to cry or wanting to not get out of bed. You sit there and just like you got just this sense of overwhelm because there's so many things that needs to be done during the day, not enough time. It seems like it's just taking forever, or you know, that self-doubt, that self-loathing, you name it. If we start to recognize, okay, this is what I'm doing, then the question is, how can I get the help? Where can I get the help? And then that's what, that's the next great step is asking for help to start, search on, do the Google search, do the, start asking friends and family, start looking to counseling and therapists and stuff.
AI.
That one person that, what's that?
AI, I was saying as well. Yeah. Lots of
Yeah,
ideas.
there's a lot of tools out there to look at. And if something doesn't sit right for you, or like, if you go and see, a person either be, like I do a lot of my work, online, because that way I can reach the world. If I just have like a brick and mortar, then I can only see the people that sit in front of me. Doing it online, I can reach a wide more range of people. However, that mode that you see the person in, being online or in person, the counselor, psychologist, therapist, or whatever, and if you find, oh, this has got great reviews, great person, but if you're not clicking with that person, find somebody else. If you're
Mm.
not getting the outcomes that you want, the person that you yourself are not getting to the direction, the goals, the outcomes you want, find somebody else. It's okay to fire them. It's okay to say, hey, because for one, this is about you.
Mm.
You are taking the steps to say, hey, I need help in this area. It's their job to listen, to ask you good questions, to find out what specific thing, outcome that you want. And the goal is to listen and to guide you into that direction. If you feel like you're being like that plinko, that chip that's bouncing around on all these pegs, because all the questions you're being asked by a psychologist, a therapist, or whatever, then you kind of bouncing around just in a certain area. Well, then it kind of comes into, well, this is your diagnosis, this is the program, this is the medications and stuff. Yes, for some people that works. I'm not saying that this is that it's a good go all be all kind of thing. But if you feel like you're just that plinko chip and getting bounced around, and and nobody's really kind of find somebody else. Continue to find and find and find somebody else. I have a dear close friend, and I love her, immensely. She's been a friend of mine, for decades. The thing is, she's been seeing the same therapist for the
Mm.
same issue for as longer that I've known her. And I'm like, in a
Wow.
sense, I'm like, I would like to be her therapist because that's a lot of money. Because, but you have to look at, the morality of that. Are you getting are you getting the results? Are you getting to the issue that you want?
Mm.
And just like when I was doing the work for myself, I was afraid that I would lose that heightened awareness. Dude, I can sense, I can sense people around. I can during that time where I was heightened aware, I can sense somebody is either close to my house, either a person or an animal that was close to my house that I couldn't see. I could just feel the pressure, feel that, feel something that wasn't right. And I can count people in a crowd. I can tell you the five vehicles license plates in front of me, the five vehicles behind me. I could even predict what the vehicles were going to do at a certain point in time. And, within 5 to 10 seconds of actual reality moving along, and knew how many males, how many females, how many kids. I mean, like just overly heightened aware. I was afraid I was going to lose that because that was what has kept me alive for so many years. What was that crackle? What's that, what's that pressure from over here on the fire? What is this, what is this giving us, a sign? What is this telling me? What is this person reading? Those things kept me alive. It not only kept me alive, but kept my teams alive, kept my squads alive, kept my, you name it, alive, my family alive. It's just, I thought I was going to lose that. I thought I was going to be able to lose those cat-like reflexes when, somebody would, jump out or whatever, or, you know, lose that edge. You don't. You learn how to control it. You
Mm.
work on the sides of the, of the triggers. Like, oh, like for example, like, oh, I can't go to the party because I'll be triggered by blah blah blah. Why shorten up your life? Why shorten up your experiences? If you work on the triggers, if you don't have the triggers, then then what else is there? You don't have
Mm.
this incident of where you're going to experience this unfavorable outcome. Where the
Mm.
mind goes, energy flows, right?
Yeah.
If you take care of the triggers, you take care of the problem. You start working on that, the problem. What I mean by the problem of whatever it is for that person, social anxiety or you name it, whatever that, you give that label for, you know, being able to do the work is it's hard. I'm not telling you
Mm.
that, that it's easy by any means. It's hard for us, for human beings to have to really go and do that work. It's a hard process. Find that person that knows the process, that's been through the process, that understands, that, it is a journey and, or voyage in this journey of life. And by being able to realize that there is that possibility of having the life that you want, the life that you desire, or being able to, do the things and have the outcomes that you want. But we have all this stuff that's holding us back. It's time to let go of those things that are holding us back, the chains,
Mm.
the heaviness, the darkness, the pricklies, the pain, whatever it may be, because it deteriorates the body, it deteriorates the mind, it deteriorates, your enjoyment of being alive, being the person that you want to be and that you can be. The past is not the future. The past is for the reason. And that's why I do like, that's why I speak on the post to CPTSD, the post to PTSD, PTSD, excuse me. And reason why I said I is because hopefully someday they'll change it from a disorder to an injury because it actually is a kind of an injury on the submolecular level part of the brain because of the high intensity of, whatever the traumatic experience for the person. It actually does, physical damage to the brain. If they change it from a disorder to an injury, what happens is that the payouts for veterans kind of goes up because they pay more for injuries than disorders, but that's a whole different subject for a different time. So
Mm.
it's by going into the post, like, hey, life after PTSD or life after the traumatic experience or life after, it doesn't have to be like all gruesome. It doesn't have to be, like a car accident. Like, oh, I was beaten, molested, and tortured as a kid, or tied up, and then, and my biological, father's girlfriend, and him molested me when I was laying there tied up the bed. It doesn't have to be anything like those things. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I was shot, stabbed, electrocuted, or burned. Losing a job is also grief. Losing a loved one, like breaking up in a relationship, is grief. Losing a goldfish as a kid, getting it flushed down the toilet, that's, grief. That's a loss. It's a traumatic experience for a kid. Traumatic experiences for each person is different.
Mm,
It can be watching a horror movie and being traumatized by a horror movie on on the TV. Trauma is just not, to police and fire and military and ER and hospital people. It's, or people in car accidents. Trauma is anything that has happened to a person that has caused a significant amount of change to where the person either avoids or overly is stressed or overly sensory about something that comes back up from the past, right?
mm,
Something in the, that it's like that software in a computer that's running in the background. And sometimes we need a reboot. Sometimes you kind of need to turn that power button off and turn it back on, and and get things realigned in the brain, so that way the thoughts that come to our mind, the fruitions, and have them come to fruition, to where you get the car, you get the job, you get the girl, you get the boy, whatever, you get to go on that vacation and you get to live life with a smile on your face. I'm not just saying that, everything's all like, kittens and rainbows and sunshine, it's how you perceive. It's how, your look upon yourself first, and then life. Because life is a reflection of what's going on inside of you.
mm,
Life that you are going through and living through is a reflection of your thoughts, your emotions, your drives. By changing from within, by going down into the core beliefs, or going down to the triggers, to, you know, oh, I got stung by a bee and now I don't like flowers or whatever, but I really wish I can smell them, but I just don't want to get close to flowers. I'm just making stuff up right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
But it's just the kind of thing. It's just like, if I may, for you, Johnny, the things that you have experienced in your life,
Mm,
in doing that transition from the past to the man that you are now and the man that you're becoming, to the wants and desires and outcomes that you want, what has that journey been like for you,
mm,
or that voyage?
mm. For me, it's always an ongoing like voyage, and like you say, for me, it's like an ongoing process. For me, it's not always been like I used to be someone who was to a point to understand it of like, why did that happen? Why do I feel like that? But actually understanding that sometimes there are just certain emotions, and being able to sit with them has been a really beautiful experience. But also finding the relevant tools to transition some of those feelings into more empowering ones have really, really helped. So for me, what I've discovered on my voyage, as you would call it, is there's a balance of training to feel certain ways as much as I can, but also allowing that space to sit with the things I need to. So if there's like a tough emotion, it's not just like, oh, some grief is coming up from the past. And like you said, I'd agree with the definition. It doesn't mean someone's died. It doesn't mean, you've had huge abuse from someone. It could just be a loss of a job, a loss of a relationship, or something like that. Um, but yeah, being at the voyage for me has been all about learning what are the tools that have helped me go along and feel good, but also what are the tools that I need to actually sit with it as well. So that's how it's been for me. I found it, Corey.
Nice. It's
Mm,
good to hear. Connection was a little unstable, so I heard you coming in and out a little bit. So,
mm,
um, yes, being able to have that time, that space to be able to sit with the emotion,
mm,
to learn from it, to why is this coming up now? What is its purpose? What's its reason, and what do I need to learn from this? If we ask the question, of like, why is this happening to me? Or why did this happen? That is a never-ending question,
mm,
because the brain will constantly keep looking for more and more and more whys. It will never
mm.
end.
Endless loop.
So
Yeah.
if we can, if we can change and look at the questions like, Where's this coming, like, where's it coming from? How does this serve me now? What is its purpose? What's the lessons I need to learn from this? What is this trying to protect me from? You know, what is this, helping, what is this, making me avoid? Depending on whatever's going on. And thank you for sharing. And the journeys, this life journey and these little voyages that we have, these little experiments, or not experiments, these experiences that we have in our life, like when we go on vacation, or when we fall in love, when we get a dog, or go outside and play, when we're a kid, or every interaction gives the possibility to learn and grow. What we give the name of it and what we make it our story, is what kind of helps, or not helps, but kind of, has its little place of what defines us. It can bring down, our esteem. It can bring down our mental awareness. It can bring down our, you know, um, our thoughts, down the rabbit holes, negativity, our brains, as they say, were developed from the back towards the front. So the primal part of the brain is to protect us. So it will think of anything negative that it can to protect us. And
Yeah,
the human brain is kind of, on a negative. So we have to change it to the positive, as much as we can.
yeah. It's I really like going back to what you talked about in terms of the help as well, and knowing that, and you use your friend as an example, with like the different, being with the same therapist for a very long time, and it's okay to actually. I found in my experience as well, just to share, that it's okay to switch coaches sometimes. That can be a really benefit, because sometimes that person is a great coach, but just maybe not for you as well, or a great
Exactly.
professional in their area. It just sometimes link up. Like I quite like my first one was a very kind of, she's useful for what I needed at the time, and sometimes different times in your life you might need someone different as well. I've certainly found like my first coach really introduced me to this whole world, but she wouldn't be a coach if I just need to get stuff done, like, and I quite like that style sometimes, but she's a very kind of reflection, sort of developing that self love side of myself at the time. And then I've kind of been with like somatic coaches, business coaches since. So I very much resonated with what you said about finding the right person for you. But yeah, sometimes need different people in different stages of the life as well. So finding what you want to work on, and then finding that person for you. Sounds like
Absolutely. And like I
sounds like
mentioned, it's okay to fire them
yeah, like you said,
if
it's
need to
quite
be.
quite a journey. Yeah. So for you at the moment, is it because you've worked through many things, you've done like a lot of work and developing. Is there anything? Um, I'm sure like as like me, you've got lots and lots of tools in your belt, and it's about using what's relevant. Is there anything at the moment that's particularly useful for you in the form of like, I don't know, just journaling, meditation, breath work? I'm not saying there's never a one size fits all in my view, but I'm just wondering, is there anything you find useful as an ongoing basis in your tool belt at the moment?
It's like you said, we have a lot of tools in the
Mm,
toolbox and our tool belts, right? We can
mm.
take some of the tools and put them in our tool belts, kind of like Batman or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
And it's what it is. It's learning the mastery of ourselves. You don't have to be a life coach. You don't have to be a
Mm,
therapist or whatever. Your life, the person's life experiences, that and what you've learned, the tools that you've learned in the process, that's your tools, right? And the mastery of it is being able to bring them all together, or being able to be
mm,
fluid like water, to where you can mold in from one to the other while still working on the same, using the same tool, right? So, what's been working, that's what has worked for me. And this is what's worked for me. And, yes, some of these things do help other people. And the combination of which, it's to each person, right? And so, um, before I go to bed, I think about something positive. I try to stay off anything electronic like the phones or tablets or anything like that for about 30 minutes before going to bed.
Mm,
And what that does is, helps the melatonin to, the natural, sleep cycle to start to take an effect. And I started to think about, something positive that I want to focus on. The brain, as you fall asleep, works backwards. So anything that you most recently learned, excuse me, before falling asleep, works backwards from nighttime to the morning. And then your body heals in the reverse aspect. It starts healing from the feet to the head. So I would like to think about or something focus, before going to bed. So I will say, and this is I the name where I learned this from has left my brain, but it's pretty simple. And every day and in every way, I'm getting better and better. In every way and every way, I'm getting better and better. And every day and every way, I am getting better and better. And I repeat that 3 to 6 times as I'm falling asleep. What that does, it helps get the executive part of your brain to connect to your subconscious and say, this is what I'm wanting. Thank you. I'm feeling better, healthier. You can say, you know, uh, in every day and every way, I'm getting closer to my goal of X, right? In every day and every way, I am succeeding financially or whatever. It keeps that kind of that momentum going as you fall asleep. It helps that your subconscious
mm,
to link up and build up. So that's kind of works on the magnetism part of things, in our life, because as we program our subconscious saying this is what we want, your subconscious works off in the background. That's why weird things pops up and say, hey, I've been thinking about you, but you haven't reached out to him, but all of a sudden this person pops up. That's that magnetism. Your subconscious has been working on that. Our central nervous system, our energy has been doing that work. And in the mornings, same thing. As I'm waking up, I do the same process. I think about something positive, whatever that may be. And then I make my mornings, my days intentional. I set up the night before, like my clothes, like what I'm going to do. I think about, the steps I'm going to take, the process where I'm going to walk at. Because we've all kind of had that moment where we get up out of the bed, we're rushing, we've hit the snooze button numerous of times. Now we're in a hurry. Now we're late. You stub your toe. You bang your elbow on the door frame. You're tripping over yourself. That sets the stage for the day. You're always playing catch up all day long. And then you're like thinking, well, all this stuff keeps happening to me. Traffic, I'm a minute to late work, or people at work is kind of blah. What you do in the morning as you wake up sets the stage for the day. Do some journaling in the morning, work out in the morning, get the endorphins going, you know, journaling works out even throughout the day, because that helps keep your focus, keep your intentions going. So I do journaling, working out. It's been a hit and miss, but I do know the days that I work out, my days are a lot better, my sleep's a lot better, and being again aware of the things that comes up. There's a little thing called uh, it's called the stop technique. That you say stop, change your physiology, and you say yes, I'm amazing or magnificent or whatever, and then you celebrate. There's that. Um, there's tapping that I do occasionally when stuff comes up. But the foundation is really set the stage at night before you go to sleep. Set the stage of the day up in the morning. Do the I am statements. When you go to the bathroom in the morning when waking up, you see your reflection in your mirror and you're like, hey, how's it going? Kind of recognize yourself. See yourself. Um, there was actually a period of many, many, many years in my life that I couldn't even look in a mirror because I would see all my scars. I would see my body being torn up from my life experiences, in my life, and a lot of scars. And so I would see those, even though they're gone. And like even in my face and stuff, there you can't really see them, unless you get up close and stuff. But I would see them. I would see them that they were freshly open wounds, right? And so my body was, I've always like this disfigured, body. But once I learned to do the change work, that shifted. Then I'm like, hey, there's actually a good looking person there to, marry. Kind of looks kind of sexy, you know.
Mm,
But then, I also did the I am statements, I am courageous, I'm strong, I am powerful, I am who I am. This is me. I love, Corey Mathews. For the longest time in my life, I could not, no way. I couldn't. I would start crying if I was like, I don't deserve to be loved. Why would anybody want to love me, let alone myself? The stuff I did in my lifetime,
mm,
you know. So being kind and aware to myself is a big change, and men, as we were, as we're growing up and told you're not, you get it was beaten. You don't show emotion. What are you showing emotion for? Smack. What are you crying for? Smack. I'll give you something to cry about. Don't talk about your emotions. Don't talk about your feelings, you
mm,
know? Um, and like, what, you stupid? So all this negative self-talk that we got as we were boys and kids growing up, then we internalized and made that even worse because we built, you know, bully ourselves up, we beat ourselves up, about things, we're our own biggest bully, right? So in learning to stop that language and stop that language pattern, man, my life has changed for the better. So my life, let me tell you, I am so glad the things I learned and been learning. And yeah, life has been wonderful, man.
that's powerful. Love the I am statements. That's a really good one. And just the simple, some of them are just so simple, right? It just it's about executing them, and I'm really glad to
It
hear
is.
the benefits you'll
And
get.
it is kind of quirky and weird at first too. It feels uncomfortable. It feels stupid. It feels like, oh my God, like does this really work? I mean, come on. And it does. It's amazing how it works. And yes, you are absolutely right, Johnny.
Mm. I kind of had the realization just to share for me it was actually more stupid to not like myself because that was kind of pulling everything down. So that's the kind of thing that got me when I was just like doing silly things and be like, well, actually, it's more stupid just not to just keep dissing myself and all these kind of things as I went through my
Yeah,
own journey. Yeah, that's what I thought for myself.
absolutely.
Cool. Well, Corey,
Yeah.
I know you've got lots of tools. There's and again, it's like I think what I was saying. I think you were saying again from it's an individual's experience for like different. We've got different experiences. We're going to use things differently. And I know you're a coach and you offer lots of guidance, like to people. You do your speaking, your sharing, and helping people find what it is going to be best for them. So yeah, just before we sort of like wrap up today, it'd be really useful to know where can the listener find you if they want to find out more about you, get in touch, find maybe some of your resources, and yeah, just that'd be great to hear if there's any final point you'd like to leave us with as well.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Johnny. And thank you again for having me here. You can go to my website at wellformedsolutions.com. That's
Mm,
wellformedsolutions.com. And I'm also on Facebook. Look up for Wellformed Solutions there. And also on Instagram too as well. Instagram is WFS underscore AK underscore solutions. So yeah. So look me up there. And Bella too. Let's see here. I can
amazing.
actually bring that up.
And we'll be sure to
Yeah,
leave.
so it's actually well underscore formed underscore solutions for Instagram for well formed solutions in an Instagram.
Awesome. We'll be sure to put that in the show notes anyway. So if you're listening or watching, it'll be all linked in the show notes as well. For getting in touch with Corey.
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
And if I may say one more thing before we
Yeah.
go, um, every day is a good day. And some people are like, well, how can every day be a good day? I've had this is what's going on my day. How can you tell me every day is a good day? If you can think about one thing in the past, present, or future that puts a smile on your face. Nothing in this world, nothing in this universe or cosmos can take that away from you because you alone own that thought. It can take you out of the situation you're in. If you're away from home, far away from home, and you want to come home, it can bring you home. You can be getting beat every inch of your life, and you can think about that one thing, it puts a smile on your face and smile back. That person cannot take that away from you. And in the end of it all, it's every day is a good day. Find the goodness in yourself, find the goodness in the day, and that will bring rewards every single day upon you. I guarantee it. Try it out.
Mm, amazing. Love that final tip there. Um, so empowering. So thank you, Corey, once again for coming on the show today.
And thank you for having me, Johnny. It was a pleasure, man.
Awesome.
Good talking
So
with you.
yeah, absolutely. So that concludes our episode for today. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.